Have you ever wondered how deep tech companies actually start? Well, we were too.
So in this podcast, we'll be interviewing scientists and entrepreneurs that have taken their ideas out of the lab and turned them into startups. I'm Antonia.
And I'm Christina, and this is Startup the Science. Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to this very special, first of its kind, Startup the Science, Where Are They Now episode.
Yeah, we've been pleased to see that a lot of people are listening to the older episodes of Startup the Science. Yeah, we haven't heard from those startups in a while, so we thought we would do an update episode to see what they're all up to now and how they've progressed and how their technology is moving forward into the future.
That's right. And the good news is they have progressed. Many of them have new exciting updates for us. And so we decided to invite them on this very special episode and hear those updates. Some of them got investments, some of them have new products, new team members, so we'll hear all about it.
And we have 6 startups for you, so let's get to it. Our first startup on this episode was actually the first episode of season 2 of our Startup the Science podcast. Any guesses? If you guessed Nanopattern Technologies, then ding, 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 you're a winner. 50 million points for you. So that episode aired on the 6th of January. If you haven't listened to it, give the play button a little push the next time you're scrolling through our episodes. It's a really good one. So to recap, Nanopattern is commercializing a Customdot ink that enables energy-efficient full-color microdisplays for AR/VR applications. He covers more of the VR side in his update, but no spoilers. They make a photopatternable, I can't ever say that word. They make a photopatternable ink that enables electronics manufacturers to make displays that are 70% more energy efficient and have a 50% more better color experience. Maybe that's a bit of an inside joke, but that tagline, I'm pretty sure everyone had it memorized by the end of AdmaCom 2019. It's a solid tagline. One thing to mention, he does speak a tiny bit of Japanese at the beginning of this update. No fear. He is just saying that it's been a while since we last talked. So here's you updating us from Chicago about Nanopattern Technologies.
Well, お久しぶりです, Christiana-san. So good to see you again. So here at Nanopattern, when we last left off at AdmaCom, we were, continuing to develop the technology, really getting the key factors de-risked, and we are continuing to do that. We've now at this point de-risked 2 out of the 3 major de-risking factors, and after we're done with everything, we hope to really accelerate the shipment of samples to potential partners and customers. Since the last time we talked, we have raised a total of $1 million in non-dilutive grants and gifts, and that has really enabled us to accelerate the de-risking and the commercialization process. With the help of AdmaCom's introductions, we have entered conversations with 4 customers and 6 partners at this point, which will really kind of help us to bring the technology to a larger and global audience. And in the light of the current situation in the US and in the world, we are, of course, sheltering in place. We're very proud to say we are, our employees are healthy and they are continuing to get paid, which we're very proud of. We are also making diversity a huge priority for our company. So in leadership, as well as in future hiring, we're really committing ourselves to making sure we make an active role in diversifying our company. And we hope it's not just a marketing ploy in us saying that. We really want to do this, and I feel very strongly about this. So that is something that we hope to do. We have, since our past conversation, we have continued to do customer discovery, and we have found that we have really narrowed down our scope and the areas and markets we want to get into. One in particular that we're very interested in is something called micro LED displays. So right now, augmented reality is becoming a very important thing. It's how humankind will really interface with digital interfaces in the future. The reality is it's supposed to look like this, right? I'm holding onto my glasses. They're sleek, they're very incognito, right? But the reality is they're really bulky, right? If you've seen AR headsets, they have weird glass panels in the front. There's a massive battery pack in the back. It's not a very attractive thing. You don't want to wear that in a cafe. So one of the things that people want to do is reduce the bulk, improve the battery life, and also cure something called AR/VR sickness, which is where, if you read in a car, you might get a little sick from that whole process. So one of the key solutions is something called micro LEDs, because they're energy efficient. You can make the headsets less bulky. It has faster refresh, which means that it reduces AR/VR sickness, and it's brighter, so you can actually use it outdoors. One of the big issues is it's typically some of the best performing micro LEDs are still monochrome, so it only emits in one color. Consumers like us, as well as the B2B applications in surgical suites, as well as construction and collaboration work, all of them typically require full color, so tricolor displays. So, if we can make micro LEDs have all these great value propositions, but also be a full color display, that would be amazing. And this is where Nanopattern is coming in. So we are manufacturing, again, a Customdot ink, which we sell to display makers to enable the next generation of energy efficient tricolor micro displays. In particular, I have a few asks. One in particular is if you are a micro LED maker or a QD supplier interested in our technology, please go ahead and reach out to my email, which is ukambe@nanopatternTechnologies.com. Ahoy!
Ahoy! Yes. We'll leave Yu's contact information in the description alongside all the information from the other startups you'll hear in this episode as well.
And since we heard you talk about quantum dots, maybe like us, you're not so quite sure what quantum dots are. Well, now we know, but we didn't always know. And one of the startups that came on our podcast in season 1, actually episode 3, so very early on when we barely knew what we were doing, was Customdot. And Kim was very generous and gave us a very nice explanation of quantum dots, how they can be used, why this advanced materials can change display technologies. So what Customdot, her startup, does is they're an advanced materials startup that produces on-chip grade and cadmium-free quantum dots. And so that's very, very cool. And Kim has become a good friend of ours, and she agreed to come back on our podcast, this time also with one of her colleagues, Igor, who you'll hear in a second. And they talked about the very recent investment round that they successfully raised, and also just about the fact that they, in the meantime, founded their company, because when we met them, they were not officially Customdot. So here's Kim and Igor, all the way from Belgium, talking about Customdot.
This is Kim, and today on the podcast, I brought my colleague Igor. So since the last podcast, we actually founded our company. That happened in January of this year, and we're very proud of this.
We wanted to start immediately with VC funded, and it took us a long time, but we managed to get 3 million euros from 3 different VC funds. 2 Belgium, Cubic, which is specialized in financing spin-offs of Belgian universities, PMV, which is a Flemish government fund, and Vigo Ventures, a new photonic specialized fund from Poland.
With that money, we're going to build a brand new lab, and it's going to be ready in October, and we're super excited about moving in there. We're, of course, also going to improve our technology and grow our customer base, and, of course, also grow the team. So there's been some changes in the team, and we're super excited by all the people that have joined us. So the first person that joined us is Willem. He's also one of the co-founders. He's mostly in charge of technology.
A bit later, Bruno joined, who is in charge of business development at Customdot, who built a few companies and then had some successful exits and has a lot of experience in business development. And we are also very excited that we actually hired 2 or actually 3 first employees. The third one will still start within a month.
So we have people to help us with the quantum dot synthesis, and also one person to develop the encapsulation, like the polymer that we're using.
So Valeria is in charge of quantum dot synthesis, and Adelaide, she's our polymer expert.
Yeah. And then Rafael is joining us in July. And he's going to help Valeria with the Customdot synthesis, but he's also an expert in upscaling.
We will also use this funding to develop our business plan. We are strong believers of a definition of a startup that it's different from a normal company because it doesn't have a fixed business plan that it can execute, while a normal established company actually has a business plan that it can focus on execution. So we are still in search of this business plan, and we are, as true scientists, we are coming up with hypotheses, we are setting up experiments, and we are testing them in the field.
So the Customdot technology has grown into a platform technology because the applications for quantum dots are really numerous. And we also want to let our customers decide what will happen or what they want to do with the quantum dots. And then we want to assist them in actually reaching their target, which is the integration of the quantum dots in a certain device. So if you would have any idea on where you would want to use quantum dots in, you can always contact us. You can find all our contact information on www.customdot.com. Customdot is spelled with a Q.
So that was Customdot, and we're very glad to hear that they were successful in raising some money for their very promising startup. And on that topic, we're glad that many of our startups have raised investment recently, including our next one coming from Denmark, which is
Cellugy, the winners of Admicom 2019, in fact. And you might also know them from Season 2, Episode 8 of the podcast. And just a recap of what Cellugy does, they've developed a bioplastic that is 100% biodegradable and could one day be seen on our supermarket shelves. So now we're going to hear from Serena from Cellugy, who has some updates on the team and also some funding updates.
It's nice to be back in the Startup the Science series of podcasts. If you haven't heard that prior registration, Cellugy is an award-winning biotech company with the objective of designing disruptive nanocellulose materials that are enabling more readily recyclable alternatives to the conventional packaging nowadays. In the previous podcast, we showcased what Cellugy has been going through in the last 2 years, and you also have a little bit of insight on how to deliver killing pitches, either in front of investors or for other competitions and events that you might be going through as a early stage startup or a growing startup at the same time. For the last 3-4 months since our latest encounter in the podcast, Cellugy has been going through some interesting changes. For starters, we are having one of our co-founders going on maternity leave. So one younger family member is coming to join us in a month, and we are very excited for that. However, somebody has to do the work. So we have hired Trina, very well-rounded professional in microbiology background and other R&D related activities. She has been working mostly in Europe, Denmark, UK, and France, and she'll take over some of the lab activities while we have our chief scientist on maternity leave. And then on behalf of our company showcases to the general public, Cellugy has been featured in the recent series of the magazine, the Chemical Manager magazine. You can find the link in our LinkedIn profile page. You can read there about the general business idea, the general pitch, and some of the milestones that Cellugy has been going through for the last 2 years. The final announcements that I have for you is in relation to our funding scheme and how we've been progressing in that regards. Cellugy for the last 2 years has been acknowledged for very good activities in bootstrapping. So we have raised quite a lot of money with different grants and funding, either national or international scope. In the last 3-4 months, we have concluded a very good pre-seed round in collaboration with Aarhus University. It's a funding that we are receiving from the Bioinnovation Institute in Denmark, which is supported from a Novo Foundation. And then after this, actually brand news for the Startup the Science podcast, this week Cellugy is conducting the interview to be submitted for the Horizon 2020 SME instrument phase 2. So we are expecting hopefully a 2.3 million euros in funding as for our seed investment. And we have the interview on Thursday, 2nd of July. So fingers and toes crossed for us. If that happens, Celogy is going to progress very nicely in the next 2 years to prepare for the pre-scale and scale phase so that our technology has a very strong introduction of EcoFlexi to the market. This is the quick news on the team, introduction to other partners in the chemical and packaging industry, and the funding that Celogy has been nailing recently. Thank you for being with me. And if any questions, feel free to reach us on our LinkedIn page or website. I'm Serena, and good summer.
So that was Celogy, and another 2019 Admicom startup who recently received funding is Fleep Technologies, who you may have heard on Season 2, Episode 5 of this podcast. Fleep Technologies is in the business of developing flexible, transparent and recyclable electronics. They employ only carbon-based materials, making their electronic devices recyclable, and are applying their technology to the biomedical and packaging industries. So today we're going to hear an update from Giorgio and Andrea on their investment, and also some developments in their team and some further applications for their technology in the future.
Yes, it's me and Andrea. Actually, there is a very good news, even though the COVID situation struck a lot Italy, we were able to close our seed round of funding, mostly from business angels. All the biggest angel investors associations in Italy just joined together for our seed round, and we closed about 800,000 euros of seed round. And that, of course, will help us a lot with our development plan. As people might remember from our last podcast, we are involved in printed electronics, and afterwards Andrea will explain better what is actually that we are doing. But yes, our technology roadmap is pretty tight. And yes, of course, the key points that we want to achieve with this fundraising are, of course, as I said, completing the team. Andrea has an extremely interesting background on printed and flexible electronics with a specific focus on high-frequency printed electronics, that it's something extremely uncommon today. He really complements our team on all the aspects, and so he will manage mostly all the technological improvements and parts. Of course, Paolo remains there as the head of the lab, and who is really, really handling the real fabrication. There's probably me and Andrea wouldn't be able to do that, of course. And yes, these other two guys who are joining us later also have an extremely interesting experience and background in the printed electronics world. One of those, we did the PhD together. So now he's joining back again after some experience in another company, also in the organic electronics industry. The other guy instead is another electronics engineer who as well has a PhD and a postdoc in organic and printed electronics, specifically on photodetectors and other means. The dream team of Fleep. We were pretty happy because all the people we found actually were our first choices. And so that was important. Yes, of course, the money will help us to do our roadmap and to execute our roadmap. Our roadmap is not only technological, it's also on the corporate side, of course, looking for proof of concept projects and companies who are interested in trying to understand what this technology can do. I guess it's a key point in the life of a startup to do that. Something else that we have to do, of course, is work a lot on the intellectual property side and try to protect as much as we can of our technology. Since, of course, we are going to, as a business model, we are going to rely mostly on a licensing base. So it's pretty important to protect what we have. And yes, those are the key points. We are going to develop some interesting demonstrator in the packaging field and biomedical field, and that's it. Maybe now Andrea will explain you a bit better what we're doing.
I'm Andrea. Recently joined the team at Fleep Tech. Very excited to work with them on printed electronics, which was also my background. I've worked as a researcher on the topic for the past years. What we're gonna do with Fleep Tech is to provide. It's basically integrated circuits with organic and printed electronics. We are working on the transistor level. We're going to create the circuitry that is necessary to drive, to control, to integrate sensors, actuators, and all the beautiful things we see in the market, in the flexible and printed electronics market. We think that this is the actual missing connection between all these elements in order to create the actual applications. We're going to provide that, and we already demonstrated a bunch of beautiful circuitry and driving capabilities and integrations with some kinds of sensor. And in the next months, we're going to expand our integration capabilities with new kinds of sensors for applications in the biomedical field, in the sensing, gas sensing, temperature sensing, all of this possible application fields.
And yes, of course, it's extremely interesting trying to create such kind of application. And Andrea was saying, the core is that we have to connect multiple elements that usually are nowadays not joined together by any mean, if not standard electronics. And it's kind of a pity when you see so many interesting devices on the market that are completely printed and flexible and maybe scalable. And so the thing is getting all together. But to do that, of course, what we are doing is also creating a large partnership network. We are trying to join many companies that we find interesting in the printed electronics market. So it's mostly startups, very few corporates up to now for our own choice, just because we really, really strongly believe in mutual collaboration for success of such a project. We guess it's really important to join together all the forces and all the efforts so that everybody can go in the same direction and achieve success for an entire industry, is not only for our company.
Okay, so that was Fleep Technologies, and now we have another startup in the field of printed electronics.
That's right. We're now going to hear from Oraltech. They're one of our brilliant startups, and they were on our podcast in the very last episode of season 1. And you might remember Oraltech stands for Organic Electronics, and they've created a process that can print metal on any kind of surface. They don't care if it's 2D, 3D, they can print it. So we love Oraltech. Actually, if you've watched our AdmaCamp demo day, we did that from their office. We're good friends with them, and you'll hear now from Konstantin and Natalia talk about their new office, team, website, investment, everything. So here's Natalia and Konstantin.
Hello. We didn't talk for a while, maybe even more than a year. So here in Oraltech, we have a lot of good news. We got an investment, we doubled size of our company, moved to new space. So there are many things to update for. The first of all, it's very important for startup, is that we had an investment this winter. And we found really great collaboration with these investors, and we're very glad to have them on board in our company. And we increased the amount of our company twice. So we started as 2 people, now we are 4. We are really, really glad to have on board our 2 new colleagues, Marie Westphal, who is our new commercial director, and Dr. Christina Lovreg. She is our new R&D chemist. It's really great. So also we moved to larger space. So we have a large office and large lab space, and it was really great. We did it just before Corona crisis. And so at this point, we really, as a startup, made a good step forward. We moved to our products, and we are looking for new customers. And we are very soon going to launch our new site with all our products on it, for that our customers can, to study it and check on it. And also they can find here a sample kit where we can give them a samples of the products that they can do with our inks. So if you're interested in what are possibilities of our inks, you always can get a sample kit on our new site.
Okay, so I will just add to what Natalia just said, more of technical aspects of the update. So like Natalia said, we are now actively looking for new customers. We have a very nice line of products. The ones we talked about, the transparent layers and the highly conductive layers. We also have developed solution for flexible medical devices that maybe require some special metals like gold or platinum. We also developed a very nice, very cost-efficient solution for coating of 3D substrates with metallic layers. And if anyone is interested, should just contact us through our website or through a new version of our website, and we will get in touch with them. And I want to thank the Inam team for the great job they're doing. We really enjoy listening to your podcast, guys.
That is too sweet. We enjoy their company more than anything in the world. Thank you, Oraltech. So last but not at all the least is Idun Technologies. Their episode aired February of this year, but the last time we truly talked to them, I think, was when they were here last year for AdmaCom 2019. And if you guys remember the last time Katya and Severine were on, they talked about their soft and dry electrodes and how they were about to put their first avocado products out there for the world to purchase and use. But that seems like forever ago when you hear this update. So with that, here's Katya and Severine giving us their wonderful updates about Idun.
Hello, everybody. This is Katya from Idun.
Hi, this is Severine from Idun.
The last time we had the podcast recording, our team was at home, busy working on our product launch. So in the meantime, this happened. We have our first product on the market, and we've been dealing with the manufacturing, with the outsourcing. So we now have a very skilled external manufacturer who is taking over the production. So the engineering team can actually do engineering again and not production. On the material side, we also have very good news. We since developed a new material for our conductive electrodes. The new material is much easier to process and it's more versatile. So we have many, many more options of different, products actually or substrates we can functionalize with our electrode material. And this opens up a completely new market for our electrodes.
For the whole company strategy. So when we were at Inam, we were still an electrode manufacturer, so component manufacturer. We learned quite a lot also at Inam and how to earn money actually from material. And as a component manufacturer, it's quite tricky. So it's always the game of margin. And because we also kind of understood back then when we were working with our customers that we had to help them a lot on the electronics side and also a lot on the data side, which are things that we have been doing in-house for internal testings. We decided that we were going to build on top of the electrode, on top of the material. And so strategically, we are shifting from a component company to a full stack company. And we have a strong focus in brain measurements, so in EEG measurements. And we are strongly working on integrating brain monitoring into hearables. So those are wearables that are already in use on the market. So over-ear or in-ear EEG. And that's where kind of the whole company strategy is going. So that means for us that we're not just building the materials, or our company is not just a material scientist company, but we are building upon electronics because we have to develop electronics that enable EEG recordings, because currently electronics is for audio in those devices. And also the whole data pipeline. So what kind of data can we extract from the ears, and how can we structure them for the end consumer? And the end consumer for us as a B2B company would be, for example, Spotify or Headspace or YouTube, and how they can integrate brainwaves data in, with their medium. So there is quite a shift from back then. But so we are launching the second product quite soon, which was back then also on our pipeline, which is the one that goes through the hair. So this is the electrode that goes through the hair for the brainwaves measurement. And there flew a lot of engineering on the material side on how to make them compliant and flexible and still conductive, because currently the electrodes that go through the hair are very hard. So after 10 minutes can start to hurt. Big up to our engineering team. They've done really great work, and we are in the process of outsourcing the manufacturing again. So that's a good one for us, and also more margin on this product for us. So this is going to be a good kickstart for our greater vision. What can we say also? Yeah, we had a team expansion, quite focused on going more onto data side. So we have a few people working on data processing and on how to structure our data and on how to position the electrodes in and around the ear to extract the data needed for specific applications. So that's been a really good addition to our materials team. And the next hiring process will be quite focused on the understanding of those data, so neuropsychology. So if anyone listening has a neuropsychology background and would really like to enter the neurotech environment, just please feel free to contact. We will start hiring, because we also are closing our financing round. Some of you might have heard of or read that Sony Startup Acceleration Program invested. So for us, it's a great step into integrating our technology into headphones and in-ear phones. Yeah. So also back then at Inam, I was the CTO of Nanopattern Technologies, and we could hire Moritz, which used to be my master thesis supervisor. And he's now our head of engineering, and he's doing such a great job.
He also feeds us girls with chocolate.
No, he's really awesome. And so I could give away my technical leading position, and now I'm concentrating on customer side. I still work on the IP, but more on a strategical level. And so, yeah, the engineering team is in good hands. Katja?
And also, this is important to me, but I think to everyone, we have lots of girls, even more than before. So to our surprise, lots of female engineers apply. And at the moment, we have a very, very, very good team of girls in the lab. We are really making progress. And I really like that.
Yeah.
You too?
No, I like that too. No, because I'm always so happy when we have like those spontaneous people applying, and a lot of female apply, and I'm always like, yay, because so many people like, we don't find talented females, engineers and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. There are a lot of them. So I'm very happy about that. I'm quite proud.
So yeah, thank you, Christina, for having us today. We like to think back at the great time we had with you in Berlin, with the whole Inam team. And we hope to be able to visit you again soon, when all this COVID stuff is over and we can travel again.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I would also say to every company working with materials, this is a great accelerator, because material innovation is not that easy and it's very specialized. So it's great to have people that have made it give their inputs. And it made us change our strategy from going away from being just a material company. So that's also good.
And we also made some valuable connections there.
Yeah, so thank you.
Very, very cool program.
That was insanely nice of them to say all that. I hope we get to see them in Berlin again one day too. So if you are a material startup, listen to Idun. AdMacom is still open for applications on our F6Eds page, so make sure to apply if you're a material science startup.
And then maybe you can also be on our podcast. So we hope you enjoyed that. We definitely did. It's always nice to hear back from our startup friends. And it's great also to see that even during Corona times, they've managed to raise investment, hire new people. Also check our LinkedIn page. We have some posts about other startups that are hiring at the moment. And we're always posting updates on all of our startups there.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all again next time. Thanks for listening to Startup the Science.
If you like our show and want to know more about what we do, check out our website at inam.berlin.
And don't forget to leave us a review. Until next time.